All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and/or morning if you're joining us from Hawaii or other time zones. I am Ariel Rivers, NACD's Director of Membership Engagement, and I'm happy to welcome you to this quick half-hour conservation coffee with NACD. I'd like to thank Lisa Owen and John Hendrix for joining us today to present on partnerships to improve habitat and manage invasive species. So before we get started, just a few quick reminders. Please stay muted during their presentation. And we are recording this chat to put on our YouTube as well. Please feel free to share widely with anyone that may be interested. After the presentation, we'll also have an opportunity for questions and answers. Feel free to put your question in the chat and I'll read that out loud for the recording, or alternatively, if you're comfortable, you're welcome to come off mute and pose your question to the speakers as well. So I would also just like to point out one individual who is here joining us too, and that is Carl Jensen. He is our chair of the District and Partner Relations Committee. He helps spearhead many of the efforts behind these conservation coffees. So thank you to our volunteer leaders who do that and help support NACD and the membership services that we provide to all of you. And so with that, I'd like to pass it over to Lisa and John and get the presentation started.
Thanks, Ariel. We're thrilled to be here this afternoon and talk to you about a long-time partnership that we've had here in Oklahoma. Our partnership goes back over 20 plus years, working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and it's changed over time as our needs have changed in Oklahoma. But we have very similar missions and visions for one being state and local and the other being federal. And it's yet another tool in our toolbox for being able to get habitat improvement on the ground. So I'm going to turn it over to John Hendrix, who's my partner with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and he's going to go through the slides, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions that folks may have.
I appreciate that, Lisa, and I'm glad to be here today. I appreciate this opportunity to present the work we've been doing over the last 5 years on our most current project. And so with that, I'm the John Hendrix State Coordinator in Oklahoma, and I shared with this first slide here the website for the Partners Program. So you might jot that down, or the slide's going to be available later, and you can reach out to that website and have a lot of questions. And most importantly, you can reach out and see your state coordinator in the current state you're working in, and hopefully make that contact and maybe get some things going as well if you hadn't already. So a little bit about the Partners Program I'd like to share with you. You know, in 1989, this was a pilot program in only 3 states, and then it kicked off nationwide in 1990, and become very, very popular very quickly. It's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's principal program for restoring fish and wildlife habitat on private lands. The Partners Program is a voluntary, non-regulatory program providing free technical and financial assistance to private landowners across the nation. The Partners Program is very flexible. We work with farm and ranching operations, and it's something that we value and understand. So that's really hard to find sometimes. So this is more Oklahoma centric. So this is some of the cost share practices on the screen that you can see. This is not all of them. This is what we do a lot of in Oklahoma. And if you contact your state coordinator, you might be able to do other things that your producers might need or be familiar with. So how does a landowner get involved with us? You know, they do it several ways. Like most federal programs, there's a notice of funding availability. But I'm going to say our program in Oklahoma, it's our partners that share with producers about our program. And it's also the word of mouth. A lot of landowners out there will see a project going on in their county or something, and will ask their neighbor, and then contact us that way. So it's the last 2 that we get probably 80% of our new projects out there on the ground. And so once the landowner recognizes there is a program, they'll holler at us. Partners biologist will go out there, and the first thing he'd like to do, obviously, is have an on-site visit and see and talk with the landowner's concerns and what he's interested in. And then, you know, that's where our technical assistance comes into play. And then while we're out there, if we start looking and, hey, this looks like a great project, we can do this. Well, these are some of the things that the partners biologists will start thinking about out there. You know, does this project meet our program goals? Will this project be achievable? Is the project feasible for the landowner and us? And then once we kind of get to those three basic thoughts, then there's a ranking process that we go through. And of course, our funding levels change from year to year. And, you know, we kind of we got a lot of projects, just like most programs do every year, that we can't get funding to, but we'll hopefully get to that project the following year. And I want to go, I have a slide here, and I'm sharing this slide because, you know, in Oklahoma, like Lisa said, we've been working together for many years. And I hope folks take this slide, and if you can reach out to your state coordinator and invite them every year to your local annual state conservation meeting. And the one in Oklahoma usually happens at the end of February, the 1st of March. And if I had a choice or was limited to only one attending a training and or meeting, this would be the one. Because where can I go as a partners biologist to meet all the landowners across the state of Oklahoma in one location on boards? You know, the conservation districts across the state meet, and you're talking to the folks out there on the landscape. So I've been doing it now over 30 years. I've got great friendships over the years doing this, and we annually attend this meeting, and it's a great meeting for us. And we probably get literally 50% or more of our contacts as a result of this meeting. So I highly share that you reach out to each other and make that connection for sure. What is a partnership? It's a partnership, an arrangement where parties agree to cooperate to advance their mutual interest. And if you can see, I mean, the Oklahoma Conservation Commission mission and the Partner Fish and Wildlife Mission, I mean, it has the same wording in both missions. You know, we're wanting to protect and enhance fish and wildlife habitat conservation, or all of our natural resources. And we're working voluntary in partnerships with private landowners. That's what both of us do. So it's very easy to do. Now, to what we're here today for is what Lisa and I have been doing the last 5 years. You know, 6 or 7 years ago, the policy in the Partner Fish and Wildlife Program changed at the national level. Prior to that, we could not pay for prescribed fire on private property without having a red card certified person basically writing the agreement and being on site the day of the burn. And as a lot of you are aware of that, that's pretty difficult. So the policy changed at the national level. So we ran with that. I was excited about it. And when it changed, the first person I thought about was Oklahoma Conservation Commission, Lisa. So called her, met her in Oklahoma City. We sat down because we're both excited about prescribed fire. We're both excited about healthy rangelands, and how can we do this? So we started talking about through the process, and then immediately, you know, we started talking about, well, we better get the Oklahoma Prescribed Burn Association involved, because we can utilize their folks to help write the prescribed fire plans, which is part of the kind of law in Oklahoma. So with that said, we wrapped John Weary in. He's the president of the Oklahoma Burn Associations, and they're just a group of folks that meet twice a year, and it's an incorporated nonprofit organization created to support local burn associations and develop new ones across the state. And their goals are to increase landowners' capacity to do neighbor-to-neighbor prescribed burns for reduction of fuel loads, wildlife habitat improvement, increasing grassland production, and enhancing public health and safety for all Oklahomans. So, you know, that is right what we need to do, because we can help them help us to reach our goals in this agreement that we decided to do. So the next step, we kind of sat down at the table with Lisa and John, and we come up with 3 objectives for this agreement. And the first one was we wanted to increase awareness in the values of prescribed fire in Oklahoma. We wanted to increase and promote more Oklahoma prescribed burn associations in Oklahoma. And most importantly, we want to promote prescribed fire on private lands in Oklahoma. So we took those bullets, and Lisa and I sat down and we come up with an agreement that we decided to do. And the details of the agreement, you know, our agreements are like several pages long, but these are the main details within that agreement and what it's structured for. So the first detail in agreement is landowners must participate with an active Oklahoma prescribed burn association. So if an landowner wants to get involved with our subrecipients, they must sign up and be a member of an active prescribed burn association, which they have. And then the second details a prescribed burn plan must be completed and followed by the participating landowner to receive the approved funding set aside for the burn. And that's extremely important for us because, you know, we're following the law in Oklahoma. Every burn that has that liability coverage must have a burn plan written and must be followed to have that coverage. So that was one aspect that we needed for sure in there. And after that, the details of what the landowner will receive. The landowner will receive a $20 acre once the burn has been completed, not to exceed $5,000 or $250 acres per year. So that first year we set aside $100,000 to work with Oklahoma Conservation Commission in this agreement, and we wanted to share that because we knew $100,000 on some of these large ranches just might not go very far. So we decided to stop the payment per year per landowner at 250 acres. They could burn more than that. They could burn 1,000 acres if they wanted, but they're only going to get paid for 250. So that would help spread the money over more landowners instead of few. And then behind the scenes, the partners biologist will do some NEPA paperwork, and we do 106 with the Native American tribes across the state in their jurisdictions to make sure that we have clearance and making sure that their interests are taken care of as well. And you know, that day we left there, we was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. But communication is going to be the key to successful implement this agreement. So this next slide is going to show you kind of the flow chart, how this could work and how it does work. It's kind of messy, but we've been doing it now for 5 years, and I think Lisa can share with you that it's been pretty seamless and some stuff. But again, the thing is communication. So how does a landowner get involved with getting paid for prescribed fire through this agreement on his or her property? So either the landowner hears about it, or the Conservation Commission employees knows about a landowner that's wanting fire, or the Fish and Wildlife Service employee knows the landowner that's involved or needs fire. So the first thing is just getting the landowner into the conservation district and getting signed up, and then the landowner needs to get a prescribed burn plan, either from the Prescribed Burn Association, one of the regional coordinators, or from OCC employee, or from an NRCS employee. Somebody's got to write that burn plan. Once that burn plan is in hand, then the landowner will officially meet on the private landowner's property, look over that piece of property and the burn plan and make sure everything's kosher there. And then the biologist will go take that burn plan and go back. But that he'll have that information in his hand to do the 106 paperwork. That's the next step. And that usually takes 30 days, but we always say we allow 45 days for that. Most of the tribes here in Oklahoma has gotten back with us within a week. It's all done by email. Some tribes, if they don't get back within 30 days, we will move forward. So once all the 106 paperwork's been cleared and it's all good to go, the biologist at that time write a subrecipient agreement with that private landowner, and that will detail how much the acres. It will show where the map's going to be. It has all the pertinent information in the agreement. And at that point in time, the conservation district employee will sign that agreement in that county. The PFW biologist will sign the agreement, and the private landowner will sign that agreement. And at that time, that funding is obligated and is good to go. We give the landowner 2 years to do, to find a window to do prescribed fire. Now we're having prescribed fires done in the dormant season, the summer, and the fall time period. So it's been pretty cool. So once that landowner takes that agreement, he takes that prescribed burn plan and gets that done successfully on his property, that landowner will then contact the partner's fish wildlife biologist. The partner's biologist will go back out on site and make sure the burn was done according to plan. I just want to tell everybody here that we do not burn wheat stubble. We do not burn non-native grasses. This is strictly for a program to burn native range habitat. So we're not burning Bermuda grass or fescue. So then once that burn is done, the biologist will go back and he'll complete a certificate of completion and then send that through the Conservation Commission. At that point in time, the Conservation Commission will send out the funding back to the landowner. That's the process.
So John, while you're switching your slide there, let me just say, when he says Conservation Commission, he's also including the Conservation District in that, because what we do is we are the recipient, we as the state agency, we're the recipient of the agreement, but we are the pass-through component to the districts for those funds. And so the district takes care of sending us a request for the funding. We process that payment. It goes back to the conservation district where they are actually making the payment to the landowner, and they're responsible for the the 1099 that the landowner would also have to receive. So it's set up very similar to our local cost share programs. And so with our state agency, close to 80 to 85% of all the funding we receive is going back through districts. So just so you understand that when OCC and conservation districts is pretty interchangeable in this conversation here. So go ahead, John.
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for that information. Yeah, keep me straight on that. So yeah, thank you so much. But this is the certificate of completion. It's a one-page deal that the partners biologist will fill out, and it has all the information here. So that's what's handed to the conservation district, and then they forward this up for payment. And this just recognizes that, yeah, we've been on the landowner. It was the burn was completed as the agreement said, and that kind of confirms. So that gives everybody a chance, or a receipt, if you will. Then the funding is sent back out to the landowner.
Me too.
So this next slide is kind of the project accomplished over the last 5 years, and we're pretty proud of this. I mean, we currently have 182 U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service subrecipient private lands agreements completed over the last 5 years. We've set aside $440,000 through U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service funding to private landowners in Oklahoma. It's been leveraged with $639,680 landowners dollars, their own personal dollars. So what's been leveraged in this? We've actually have and done prescribed fire now on 31,984 acres across the state in Oklahoma. We have 20 acres that was the smallest prescribed fire in an agreement, and we have a few acreages agreements, obviously, that's been 1,000 acres plus that's been burned under one agreement. But note, they've only gotten paid for 250 acres. I just want to make that little side note there. And what's really cool about this is we've also, under this agreement, it's gotten so popular in some of these counties and they're spreading out, that 9 new prescribed burn associations has now started since we started this. So that was one of our goals, and it is working. And to start up a prescribed burn association, John, the president, and then other folks will show up if landowners are interested. They usually have a meeting at night with food, and they'll get a group of landowners around that table, and they'll, here's how a prescribed burn association is operated and ran. And most of them have meetings at least twice a year. Some of them have quarter, and it's under, they set up a president, a secretary, and what's cool is they set that up. The OPA will set them up with a small amount of prescribed fire equipment to get them started. And some of these now, has been around in the state for a couple of decades. I think we have around 30 local prescribed burn associations in the state. And I think that's in 40 different counties. We have 77 counties in the state of Oklahoma. So it is growing. It's helping, this program is helping to grow that aspect of it. So it's been pretty cool from us. But the big thing is we talk about is communication. Lisa and I can call, we talk quite a bit, and our partners biologists are very familiar with the districts across the state. And it's easy for all of us to call and talk to each other if there's a question about an agreement or a question about when a landowner should be burning, things like that. So communication is always a key, but that's the effect of this, and it's growing. So it's pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead, my last slide here, I'm going to just go ahead and talk about our relationship. Like Lisa said, we've been doing this for a long time. Our partnership is it's incredible. And it's been easy for us to do this. Our goals are the same. And I'm just going to say it's just been a blessing to have the Oklahoma Conservation Commission and all the districts across the state to help us execute the agreements over the last many years. We started in 2008, and we have, just so everybody knows, we've done 15 separate agreements, just like this prescribed fire agreement, now for a total of $1.9 million in Oklahoma. We started early back in the day under some grants. We actually helped set up some of the prescribed burn associations for prescribed fire equipment that OCC ran through like this. We also have 6 native grass drills that scattered across the state, mainly in northwest and southwest Oklahoma, in conservation districts that landowners can come in and rent to plant native grass on their properties when need be. So that's been a great project. We still get some credit plantings after that, still getting that in today. We've done a couple of years of I-35 corridor monarch projects down along I-35. We've done some brush management. Now the past 5 years, we're working prescribed fire through OCC. And it's been a great opportunity for us and a blessing for us. We got a lot of work done. And again, I'm going to finish. Lisa and I've known each other for a long time, but it's an arrangement. I just call a partnership an arrangement where parties agree to cooperate to advance our mutual interest. We are truly reaching our goals, work with Oklahoma landowners by conserving and protecting our natural resources. And we like to see native eco, habitat, native prairie, and Oklahoma conservations like to see native prairie, like to see clean streams, just like us. So usually what's good for the cows, good for the bird. And I'll end it with that. And if anybody's got any questions, you can holler out now. We have a few time left. I'm gonna get out of this. I hope. Quit sharing, and so you guys might be able to see me. Maybe some of you don't want to see me. I don't know.
All right, well, I'll invite anyone to pose any questions in the chat box, and or, as I mentioned earlier, feel free to pop off mute if you would like to pose your question as well for John or Lisa. While we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions, though, I'm curious if both of you could potentially weigh in on something for me. John, you said this partnership is easy, but for some of our conservation districts, even thinking beyond, the scope of this program, we're at an opportune moment to think about how we can expand our relationships to improve collaboration with conservation districts and go beyond some of our sort of traditional partners. But getting to that point where the partnership is easy takes a lot of work. So I'm just kind of curious if both of you could maybe weigh in on how you've made this partnership, really successful, and some of the guidance that you might be able to provide in 1 or 2 bullets, which I know will be challenging, but for districts that maybe are thinking about partnering with a new organization, maybe some perspective that you have.
I can go first, Lisa, if you like.
Okay.
So I would just say, is just reaching out to the state coordinator, Ariel, and sitting down and if districts have several resource concerns they have in their area, just sit down with the state coordinator and start that conversation. I'm sure that there's a way they can find where they can have a mutual relationship there. And we started, Lisa and I started, my counterpart started with Lisa prior to, and just started off basically with some small fire equipment, something small. And we developed that relationship over the years. Now we've done some agreements where we didn't know what the end would look like. Kind of like this prescribed fire agreement. We're using a brand new, policy that's never been done. Oklahoma was the first one to try it in the partners program. So we're going into agreements we didn't know what the end would look like, but we could trust each other to get to where we worked with in the few, before, and we knew we'd work it out and work the details out as we went. So it's something, just start small, reach out to your state coordinator and just get that conversation going.
And I would say that conservation districts, one of the things that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service recognized early on is that the local conservation districts are an excellent delivery system of getting information and resources to their local landowners. And they've already got those relationships built. And so being able to connect that local board and those local staff with the programs, it's not unlike working through NRCS programs. It's just that the local district becomes the payment system for this program for local getting conservation on the ground instead of a federal payment. And with the prescribed burn associations, most of our conservation districts are extremely active in those local PBAs, and they are like a co-op. Basically, they're in that local, sometimes they're multi-county, and those folks they all know each other, and they all work together, whether it's in a prescribed burn association, whether it's with 4-H and FFA, or whether it's with their regular conservation programs. And so those relationships are there already. And I think that bringing in a new partner that has resources to bear makes that that's what makes it easy. And it has morphed from building outdoor classroom sites is what we first started with umpteen years ago, enhancing wetlands projects on outdoor classroom sites with them. And then as the needs progressed with fire or with habitat improvement and getting more brush management done, working all of that through those local districts has really been beneficial to John, to our agency, and to the local district.
Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. So we do have a couple questions in the chat now. I'm going to read both of them because they are somewhat related. So Veronica has said that they're trying to get a PBA, a prescribed bird association, started in their county, and they're in a pretty dry area. So any comments on or tips on maybe getting buy-in and commitment? And then the second question is, what are some ways for bird associations to add confidence with those landowners, or other examples to be noticeably professional during a burn?
So first off, a lot of Oklahoma in a normal year is really dry. But some of our most active PBAs are in Southwest Oklahoma, and which is the driest part of the state. So I think what feeds into the next question is having a field day where you can have a sample burn, if you will, that's small, that you can build that confidence, and you have plenty of people there to do it properly, to make sure your fire lines are right, and to make sure you have the right equipment and the right people in the right places at the right time. Setting that up as a technical field day would be a great way to start and would build confidence within those landowners.
Yeah, and I'd also add to that on these prescribed burn association, these are landowners, and I would get landowners in that county that know folks to participate, and everybody will see that landowner's going, wow, he's actually burning this time of year, he's doing this, and if he can do it, I can do it. So it's landowners helping landowners and sharing their information and equipment, and that's kind of what builds these associations. So it's actually landowners doing it out there, so that's what's cool.
All right, excellent. An excellent example of peer-to-peer peer mentorship as well, which is a known and helpful factor in having landowners adopt different practices. So
yeah,
100%.
If I could step in for just a second. First of all, I'm a huge fan of the Partners for Fish and Wildlife. We've had a long history with them in South Dakota, and I put in the chat, they also sponsor a steak dinner at our annual meeting. So if you want a chance for people to meet each other, but it's just for any of the other districts, know that it's a really good two-way street, because the members, the supervisors, or whatever your local district is made up, can help direct them to people that need the help. In the same way, it's terrific for the district, because when that payment goes out from Partners for Fish and Wildlife, it's got the name of your district on that reimbursement and one thing and another. So it's we've had a real long and healthy deal, but it's great both ways. We're doing really good things, and it's an assistance to makes the district look good in its area. So it's, like I said, I'm a huge fan. We have one of your out where we're at. We do a lot of they do a lot of fencing and dam repair and that sort of thing. And I think one of the biologists said to me one time, I said, "So what's in this for you?" He said, "If you guys stay ranching, you're doing what we want to do. It protects the wildlife. It's good for the cattle." He says, "As long as you guys are in business, we can achieve our objectives." So it's a of all the different partners I worked off over time. The other thing is that Partners for Fish and Wildlife have taken a lot of that background work on themselves. So when you get down to the actual cooperator, they don't see all the paperwork and the background work that's done. It's probably of any federal or federally related or state related, not criticizing the Oklahoma
right.
Conservation Commission,
That's
but for all the different ones we've worked with, from the cooperator standpoint, it's one of the most simplest and straightforward operations they can be, irrespective of the activity that's actually carried out.
Yeah, I respect.
One
thank you for
one
that.
last thing too that I would say is that another resource that you need to bring into any field day or prescribed fire day is your local and rural fire departments. Make sure that you get them involved. We have another program that I could spend other time on talking about doing workshops with them, but get those folks as part of your PBA. That's a real good asset as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, perfect. And just to wrap it up then, we do have one last question of examples of burn associations in the Northeast from an individual that's in Connecticut. But I would assume at a minimum, Jane can look at the contact us page on the website that we shared, and there she'll be able to get in touch with the local contacts there for Connecticut and find out more information about the projects going on in the North.
That's correct.
All right.
And we can check in with our counterpart, John Weir with OSU Extension, and see if he knows of any as well, because he's in contact with all those folks across the country.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Well, then for all those of you that are here joining us, I will send out the recording. Like I said, please feel free to share that, and I'll attach the slides that John and Lisa sent with us. I assume your contact information is on there, but if not, I can share that as well, just in case, so that, you know, any individuals that have follow-up questions can reach out to Lisa or John. Thank you both so much for being here, for the information that you've shared. This was a very helpful and informative presentation, and I thank everyone for joining us as well. So have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You too.
Ariel.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.